All right, here we go. This one's going to be a 9mm test, and today we're going to be trying out some Underwood ammo. So for the first one, that one is 124 grain plus P plus Gold Dot. Here's what that thing looks like. It does have your nickel plated brass and is rated at 1300 feet per second. And for other one, that one is the 90 grain plus P plus Xtreme Defender. That one also has your nickel plated brass and is rated at 1550 feet per second. So we'll see how close we come today. So we are going to be testing it out of our Canik Mete MC9. That one does have that 3.18 inch barrel. We'll be going through our gel. Those are 10% calibrated blocks. Do have our catch block behind that. So a total of 22 inches of gel, 4 layers of cotton tissue on the front. And like always, we'll set up our chronograph so you can hopefully pick up those impact velocities. So let's set up and see how these rounds do head to head. First one up will be that Speer Gold Dot. All right, we're stepping back to 15 feet. All right, let's see what we did on that one. All right, so it looks like our impact velocity on that one was 1249. Excuse me, so definitely good to see. Rated was 13, so, you know, especially for that short barrel, that's awesome. All right, and there's that shot. Looks like I got a decent hit on that block. You see right down in there and a pretty decent star pattern so far. So let's check it out from the top. Oh yeah, definitely not too bad. So it looks like as soon as that thing came in, started getting some pretty rapid expansion. You can see those nice spiral cuts going all the way through. Like I always say, those gold dots always leave some super distinct cuts. It did start to settle down just a little bit towards the end of that first one, and we did make it into that second one. So that's always good to see. So let's see what kind of measurement we have here from the top. Like always, we'll cut these open and get a little bit more accurate cross section here later. Cross section measurement, but it looks like we were right at 2 inches, so that's definitely not too bad, especially for 9mm. That thing was moving out pretty good, so hopefully you guys can see that. It looks like it came in, opened up really nicely, holding together really nice too, but got some really distinct cuts going through. Looks like it didn't settle down till about that last inch or so, and then there it is in that second block. Looks like we got some pretty good expansion too. And let's see at our widest spot from the side. Looks like we're pretty much exactly the same, right at that 2 inch mark. So definitely very impressive. And that thing did, have some pretty stout recoil, especially for 9. Kind of expected as plus P plus, but pretty impressive for sure. And at our leading edge, we are right at 3 1/8 inches. So I made it 14 1/8 inches of total penetration. So we're going to set up for the 90 grain Xtreme Defender and see how that one does. All right, we're setting back to 15 feet. All right, let's see what we did on that one. All right, so it looks like our impact velocity on that one was 1449, so about 101 feet per second less than advertised. Kind of expected, we are using a super short barrel, but still pretty good. All right, so there's that hit. Looks like I got a perfect shot on that block. You can kind of see down in there and a pretty nice star pattern so far. So let's check it out from the top. Oh yeah, definitely not too bad. So these definitely react with the gel a little bit different than your standard hollow point, like on this one on the right. It looks like as soon as they come in, they definitely start getting some nice disruption, but you don't really see too much until, you know, towards the end. I don't think these things are tumbling, but they're definitely, I don't know, they're pretty interesting rounds. They usually carry the energy a little bit further than, you know, your standard jacket hollow point before they start to like kind of taper off. But it looks like we did make it into our second block, and a few inches in, you can see where it started to taper off, flatline, and we did actually catch it. It made it a pretty good ways in that second block too, but pretty interesting stuff. So we're going to measure at our widest spot, which is actually probably about 8 inches in, which is kind of interesting too. And it looks like we're at about 2.25 inches. So it looks like a little bit more than that Gold Dot, not by much, but you know, like I said, it usually takes that energy and it travels throughout that whole block compared to kind of, you know, tapering off about halfway through. But you know, not the biggest fan, but they definitely do a pretty good job. They get a lot of penetration always, but you can see here from the side, came in, didn't open up, but opening up that gel pretty good. Then you can see right there about that 8-inch mark where it started to really get some nice damage going through, and then it really started to taper off towards the end of that first one, and then we made it a long ways in that second one. So luckily we're able to catch it. A lot of times these things do veer off, and you know, they do end up going through our table. It actually looks like, I'm not sure if the camera's picking it up, but it looks like it went down, hit the table, and then kind of bounced back up. So I'm actually surprised we're able to catch it. But at our widest spot from the side, looks like exactly the same, about 2.25 inches. So quite a bit of you know, disruption for sure. And then there is that track going all the way through. Can't see where it bounced down, pretty much in the crack of that table. And then there that round is. And it looks like, man, we almost made it all the way out. We're 10.5 inches, so it's about ½ inch from coming out. So that is 21.5 inches of total penetration. So kind of a little bit much for my liking, but you know, definitely do the trick for sure. But we'll check these out one more time from the top. So one on the right was that Gold Dot, one on the left was that Xtreme Defender. So here is that Gold Dot. Looks like it came in, started to open up really nice. You can see those really nice spiral cuts, real distinct cuts going through. Just settled down just a little bit towards the end, and then we did make it into our second one, and it is that one right there. And our Xtreme Defender path, you can see pretty much same thing, came in, started to get some nice disruption, and then like I said, you can see it a little bit more here towards the end of that first block where it started to open up, and then you can see where it settled down just a little bit, and it's resting in that second block in a really good way. So let's pull these rounds and see what they look like. All right, check these things out. Looks like we got some awesome expansion for that Gold Dot, and of course that Xtreme Defender wasn't meant to expand, but still looking really good. But I'm sure you can tell which one is which. One on the right is that Gold Dot, one on the left is that Xtreme Defender. But check this thing out. Absolutely picture perfect expansion. Motion back like absolutely perfectly. You can't see that signature Gold Dot down in there, but man, that's definitely one wicked round. 12, I believe, what was it, 1250 feet per second is great to see. The standard, or not really standard, the plus P Speer Gold Dots are rated at 1220. It's usually out of a little bit longer barrel, so great to see those numbers. You can see this thing is stuffed with gel. We'll rinse it out here at the end, but man, that is one wicked round for sure. Definitely wouldn't hesitate to carry that one. And here's that Xtreme Defender, a little bit different for sure. You can see it does look like that, you know, just kind of Phillips head screwdriver. No deformation. You can see those rifling marks down in that bullet. Does kind of have a little concave or little dome base in the end of it, but pretty interesting round for sure. I think got a ton of penetration, but I don't know. Pretty interesting bullet. I know a lot of people like those and swear by them, but even when I racked one into the chamber, it kind of hung up a little bit compared to, you know, our standard hollow point. I think I'm just biased. I don't know. But anyways, we'll do one time from the bottom. So the one on the right was that Gold Dot, one on the left was an Xtreme Defender, and last time from the top. So like I always do, guys, we'll get all our still shots, slow-mo, everything else here at the end. But once again, those ones were Underwood 124 grain Speer Gold Dot. You know, of course they don't load that anymore. I just had an old batch, just figured we'd put it to the test. That one was plus P plus, and then we have our 90 grain Xtreme Defender plus P plus as well. But there we go. Thanks for watching, guys. All right, so there's that Gold Dot cross section. You can see those really nice cuts, absolutely perfect spiral cuts going down in there. But really, really good looking stuff. It's always super uniform when we do these Gold Dots, and same on this side. So I did remeasure these. They are peaking and averaging right at that 2¼ inch mark. So I believe that's the same that we're getting out in the field. So definitely pretty good stuff. So let's cut it open. All right, so here's after being cut. So this bottom is the right side and this top is the left. So you can see right at that 1/4 inch mark where it came in, started to open up really nicely. Once again, you can see that nice path and those perfect cuts down in there. You know, like I said before, every time we test these things, they're pretty much exactly the same, very uniform and very clean cuts down in this gel. Same on this top side, you can really see what's going on. Came in, opened up. This side actually drug in a ton of cotton t-shirt all right here. A lot of fabric in there, but pretty much same thing. Tearing this gel up pretty good, and those cuts, you know, were perfect from that rifling. Absolutely perfect spiral cuts, but definitely some impressive stuff. Do one more quick angle if this stuff wants to stay up. But you can see really deep cuts and some really nice splits down in there. Same on this side. Definitely a good round. I wish they had still loaded it. But anyways, there we go, guys. That one was at 124 grain Gold Dot, loaded by Underwood. All right, and here's that Xtreme Defender cross section. It's pretty much same as that last one. I have noticed that these, so I basically cut the whole 11-inch block. But I noticed with these, they don't get that perfect, you know, kind of spiderweb star cut, but they do normally do some really long lines. You know, still very impressive, a lot of damage. It seems like this is everyone's favorite bullet. Like I said before, I'm not a big fan of them. They're cool, but I'm still old school. I like those, you know, just your standard jacketed hollow point. But anyways, so we did remeasure both of these. They are averaging and peaking right at the same and right at that 2¼ inch mark. So literally exactly the same as your Gold Dot. These ones just seem to carry it a little bit further, you know, than your standard hollow point where they start to kind of taper off. But, you know, definitely pretty impressive stuff. But let's cut it open. All right, and here's after being cut. So this bottom is the right side and this top end is the left. Like I said, this is the whole 11-inch path, and those blocks are 11 inches, but I just wanted to show it because, like I said, they do carry it a little bit further. And it usually doesn't start until about halfway through the block. But anyways, so you can see down here, it came in, started to open up really nice. You can see those really nice tears in there. Definitely jumbling this stuff up, but pretty much from here, which is around that 3½ inch mark, to about, you know, the 8½ inch mark, that probably 4 or 5 inches in there, it's definitely tearing it up. Tearing it up. It looks like it's tumbling, but I don't think it is. I just think it's the way those bullets are designed. They are very velocity based, but you know, still some impressive stuff. So same on this top, came in, opened up. You can see that track kind of going. That first probably 3.5 inches, and then it starts to widen up and open up, and then it starts to taper back down. And then, you know, we did end up finding it in the second block, and it pretty much went through that whole second block too. So ton of penetration. Like I said, a little too much for my liking, but, you know, it's a cool bullet, cool design for sure. But, you know, got some pretty good damage in this block. Let's do one more quick angle, but you can really see what's going on there. That nice wide path going through. And you can see where it's kind of skinny, and then it starts to kind of open up a little bit. So same here on this side. This side you can see those cuts a little bit better. Pretty good damage though. But there we go, guys. That one was that 90 grain plus P plus Underwood Xtreme Defender. Thanks again for watching, guys.